Hey, everybody. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, Smokey has joined us for today's video. This has been a day of absolute chaos already. It's incredible. All right, let's see what our message is for today. You do you. Stop trying to change people. That shit never works. You know, and that is the best kind of relationship to have, whether it's a friendship, a romantic partnership, friend group, coworkers. You do you. Ow. Because when we try to control the people around us, that is insulting to them and an exercise in frustration for us. If the people around you aren't a good match for you, accept that they're not your people. Don't try to change them. How do you feel when someone wants you to change? Do you not just get that, like it just rises up in you, like, excuse me? Uh, and for whatever reason, I have yet to figure this out, especially in romantic relationships. It seems to be very common that people will come together and then try to shape each other into something they're not. And it's like, look, I'm the same person I was when we met, and you thought I was okay, but now all of a sudden you want me to do this and this and this and this. And I'm sorry. Either you like me or you don't, but don't ask me to be something I'm not. And in all fairness, I'm not going to ask someone else to be something they're not either. You either click or you don't. It's not, well, we kind of click, and all you need to do is change your hair, your wardrobe, your job, your attitude, blah, 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 blah. Have you ever met someone like that? It is so irritating because generally, in my experience, these tend to be the people that you run into that are more narcissistic, where they're going to take you as you are and then try to form you into something else to get you off base, to make you feel insecure, unworthy, uh, less than. Because when people do that, and this is just something to keep in mind, if you're in that situation, you've been in that situation, it's not that there's something wrong with you. Generally, there's something very right about you, and they recognize that they don't deserve that. And that if you find out that you have value or how valuable you are, they'll lose you. So they want to tear you down and make you feel insecure and create that codependent, clingy, unhealthy attachment, trying to meet their standards and trying to be what they want, to be good enough, when the reason they're doing it is because they know they are not good enough for you. And here you are, changing all these things to meet their expectations, when really you should be saying, I'm sorry, I don't think you're good enough for me, right? But that's not our first go to. Generally speaking, no matter how confident you are, when you are initially accepted and then you think there's something, a connection and a good thing going, and it starts very small things. Like, are you sure you should wear that shirt? Or you probably should wear your hair a little different. Or it's little things at first and then big things, to where if you don't catch it early, you start to lose yourself and you lose your confidence, you lose your self esteem. And it's just a manipulating, gaslighting, sick way of trying to gain control over you. If you meet people who don't believe that you should do you, let them do them over there, way over there, because that's a headache you don't need. There is nothing wrong with you. It's just not the right person for you. And trying to change people, like I said, it's an exercise in frustration. Because if I choose to change, I want to change, but it's something I have to decide to do. Have you ever tried to help someone stop a bad habit that they didn't want to stop? Good luck with that. Uh, because especially in a partnership, you turn into a parent. You talk about killing any kind of spark between two people. Be their mommy, right? Nag them. Oh, that's so effective. Always. And I apologize. I dropped Cricket off for surgery this morning and I'm checking my phone because they're supposed to let me know when she's done. But if you've ever been in a situation where someone is constantly nagging you to do something, to change something, like, are you sure you should have that cookie? I thought you were on a diet. I thought you were going to go to the gym. Weren't you going to work out? Are you having another drink? Like, my God, I don't need police on my activities, right? Especially if it's what you did when you met. And I, I had that experience. And again, it was a narcissistic person, and I did not recognize that initially because they don't present that way. They come in love bombing and you're the best thing in the world and they can't believe you're together and blah blah blah, you're so wonderful. And then it starts. "Mm, we really need to get you some clothes." What? I mean, we're talking like several months in, all of a sudden your entire wardrobe is not adequate. Or do you think maybe you could dress a little nicer while you're at home? No, I'm at home where I don't have to because I'm not out in the world. Like that. This is where I go to not have to present myself a certain way. Um, or do you really have to drink coffee? I hate the smell of coffee. I drank coffee from the moment I mean, like, it's not a new thing. It's not a new habit. And that's where when you start getting nitpicked or you find yourself starting to nitpick, check yourself in both situations. Like, what is this person's motive? What are they trying to accomplish? Like, do they have my best interests at heart? Or are they just trying to take me down a notch? Are they messing with me? Is this manipulation? Are they trying to, see how far they can push me? Because boundaries, when you've invested in a relationship or invested in a job or invested in anything, we have a tendency then to want to make it work because of the time invested. And for whatever reason, it's almost like people like this go to school because every relationship, I could tell you the dynamics and you'll be like, "Oh my god, do you live with us?" And it's like, "No, it's just that's classic behavior. It's what they do. It's like they went to school. They have a program in their brain that makes them operate this way." And it's crazy, but it's true. It is so like boom, 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 boom. These are the signs. This is what happens. And every time the other person is shocked because it came on so slow. It was so gradual. They didn't notice it. And uh, another thing about that is like they'll start comparing you to other people and trying to make you feel inferior based on someone else. Now, mind you, if you really take a step back, a lot of times the person who's doing this to you, well, one, you're allowing it. You're allowing it. They're not really doing it to you because you could leave and they can't do that. But when you're engaged in a situation like that, the person who is trying to tear you down isn't bringing much to the table. And they may have initially played it off like they would or they were, but that's been backing off as they're tearing you down and telling you what's wrong with you and what you need to do. And that's when you really find out who they are. That's who they are. The person you met in the beginning, they don't exist. That was a charade. That was a character that they created to win you over and get you to believe that they were this person. When you get to the point where they're nitpicking and tearing you down and doing all these things, that's who you're really dealing with. And it's easy because when we meet someone, especially if we're authentic people and we're just who we are, we assume that other people are the same way. And a lot of people don't even know who they are. And then if you have someone with some sort of personality disorder, and I'm not talking about like a clinical, but tendencies towards a personality disorder like narcissism, codependency, there are so many variations on the scale of severity. But if they tend to be narcissistic, they want to have control over you. That makes them feel secure because they are so insecure in themselves. They have very low self esteem. But you wouldn't think so because they act like they have the most confidence in the world, which couldn't be farther from the truth, which is why they have to tear you down. They believe that if they can make you feel inferior and that you have to strive for their approval and their affection, and it's not wrong, they can keep you under their control. If you slip into that pattern in a relationship, that is codependency. Uh, and until you recognize it as that, you'll keep striving and wondering what's wrong with you and why isn't it working and why don't they like this or how come this is wrong? There's nothing wrong with you. It's just they don't like you. Don't become something that you're not to meet their approval. Do you approve of them? Do you approve of being treated that way? Fuck them. I mean, come on, really? I was telling you that I've been in that situation, and it came to a point where I was told that I needed to quit my job, quit drinking coffee. And I was like, for real? Because quite honestly, right now, I like my job and coffee so much more than I like you. You just need to get you a Barbie doll and another place to live. Like I'm so out right now. If you just want a little dress up doll, buy a Barbie. I'm not it. Uh, you know, I don't need you to tell me what to do, especially when it's something that I've done all my life. Drink coffee. You don't now all of a sudden that's unacceptable to you. Well, I'm sorry. Obviously, we don't mesh anymore. Bye. And it was a career that I had worked very hard to establish myself in. It was very well respected, and I enjoyed it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what you think you are, but you don't rank so high that I'm going to reorganize my life and give up things that I enjoy and that are part of my identity for you. No, you're not worth it. Sorry. Now, there was an older version of me that would have kept striving and trying to make them happy and figure out why I didn't measure up and what was wrong with me. Unfortunately, as I've gotten older, and again, like I said, I got into psychology and how the brain works and things like that because of how many times I'd fucked up. Uh, I did it by a trial and error before I found information to do it right. But by that point, that version of me was like, "Screw you. I don't need you." Uh, don't let someone steal your identity. There's nothing wrong with you. And like I said, most of the time when somebody's coming at you and trying to change you, it's because there's something wrong with them and they want to make you believe that there's something unacceptable about you to keep striving for them because then they're in a position of authority and you've allowed it. You've allowed it if you continue to strive and strive. And if you don't, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. That's a part of who I am. It's a part of who I was when we met. This is nothing new. And if you don't like it, then we're just maybe not a good match. Let them go. And that goes along with that whole thing about what we plan and what we believe, because so many times we fall in love with what we had predicted the relationship would become. We have in our mind this fairy tale of where it's going to go and how it's going to work out. And that wasn't, it never actually happened. It's just in our mind. This is where it's going to end up at. And along the way, if we're paying attention, we can see that it's not even headed that direction. It's not even close to that vision that we had of what having this person in our life would be. And yet we cling because we fell in love with what we believed they were. Now, are you going to try and change them? Don't. Don't. Never try to change another person. They're not the right person. They either are or they aren't. Sometimes it's just a matter of learning better communication, or maybe, you know, there are things that need worked on. That doesn't make them the wrong person. But when you or core things about you are unacceptable to them, it's not the right person. And when we can let go of that person and be like, okay, that's not what I thought it was going to be, or job or situation, it's all the same. We attach to what we believe it's going to be. Let it go, because that frees you to find the right person who appreciates you for who you are, who's going to be authentic with you in 100%. So when you meet them, you actually meet them for real, them, and not some character that's trying to win you over just so they can tear you down and take over your life. And it's slow. It's slow. It happens slow. But when you find yourself in a scenario where you're constantly feeling self conscious, not enough, especially if you start doubting your reality, because that's gaslighting. And that's something that, again, it happens slow. They introduce it gently and get more and more intense with it until you're just in this constant state of confusion about what's real, what's not real. They deny that they said something. They deny that they did something, even though you saw them. And, it gets insane. And it can really mess with you because in your mind, your plan, your vision was this beautiful outcome based on the person you met. And when you come to that conclusion that that's not who they are, that will help you release the vision that you've been believing you're moving towards. And it makes it easier to release that person. Don't try to change people. Don't let someone change you to meet what they want. It's like, if I'm not what you want, go look for it, but don't try to make me into it. Because then one person is playing a role. You don't want to go through life playing a role. That's exhausting, especially when the other person is doing everything in their power to make you feel like an idiot. So be aware. Be aware of those dynamics. It's one thing to ask somebody, hey, do you mind when you're upset? Could you just let me know in a way that's a little softer? You know, tweak your communication. Great. Not That's not like trying to change who you are. It's like, I don't like your job. You need to do something different. I think you should do this. I don't like the way you dress. You need to dress like this. You know, I'm really tired of you drinking smoothies. You need to drink something else. How is that even relevant to them? Excuse me? Now, if your job is something that is dangerous and they're insecure about it, it's something to have a conversation about to reassure them or whatever, but don't give up your dreams, your goals, your life, the things you enjoy to make someone else happy. Because you can do that. And a lot of times, what you find with a narcissist, with those types of people, the energy feeders, they're energy feeders. They will gaslight you, manipulate you, tear you down, suck you dry until your soul feels dead inside you and you don't have any more energy. You have nothing left to give because you've been sucked dry. They're gone. They are out, done. They're looking for a new source of energy to feed off of. And you're left there like, what the hell happened? And you gave and gave and tried and and contorted yourself into something else, and now you don't have a job and you don't have this, you don't have any of your identity left, and you're just left at a trashed heap, and they're gone. They got what they came for, your energy. Don't give your energy to someone who doesn't appreciate you for who you are. When you find the right person, that will mesh. It will be a good match, and you won't have to change anything. So, just some awareness. You do you, boo. And if they don't like it, tell them to hit the road. Find someone who does enjoy you for who you are. Relationships should be easy in at least the sense of connecting. And you shouldn't have to force a connection by changing and manipulating. I mean, square peg, round hole. Either it fits or it doesn't. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Quit trying to shave off the corners or whatever, move on. Not a good match. Accept it. It's all good. Stay true to you. Don't sell out to try and meet someone's approval. Really look back and think, do I respect them enough to care what they think about me? We get caught in those patterns from our childhood of approval and rejection and all these old wounds, and we do dumb things from that place of woundedness that just wounds us more. And these relationships play on those wounds, and they play on our childhood programming for acceptance, for approval. So stay cognizant of that. You do you, boo, and don't let anyone change you. At the same time, if someone's doing things that you just don't agree with and it doesn't jive with you, don't try to change them. Let them do them. And most times in a relationship, it works best if you do you, they do them, and then you do we together. Keep your separate life, keep your separate identity, share those things with each other, but don't try to become one person. Don't try to change the other person to fit your idea of what's perfect. It either works or it doesn't. So I know this is a longer video. I hope that helps. Kind of random. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.